Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS North American Challenger. We are jumping into our losers bracket match. As my name is Fear Dragon, I'm joined by Zombie Grub over here now. What's up? You look like you just achieved something very successful, like you accomplished something during the break.
I really did. But
you crushed a Zerg, right?
Yeah, actually, real life Terran versus Zerg happened in the break room, and Terran won. So, anyways, we're gonna have TvT, so Terran versus Terran. No Zergs or bugs here, and I'm excited because I feel like this doesn't happen that often non-Korea. So, I'm ready to get into this.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it then. Players are already loaded up onto our first map. It's going to be Catalyst to start things off. And spawning up here in the top left, it is going to be the blue Terran player. It's Cuddlebear. Good old Rise.
In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Future. Also Rise.
Yep. Two teammates. Rise is actually one of those cool teams that behaves more like you would expect a team behave, because I know when you and I both got into like casting and esports, and we started to like talk to players, we started to say, oh, I'm sure that before all of this, you're like, oh, players that are on a team, they all probably practice together, they'll talk with each other a lot. And then you find out that's actually not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
A lot of players don't talk with each other, or they don't play practice games with each other because they're on the same team. Rise actually does. Rise behaves like you'd expect teams to behave. So Future and Semper play a lot of practice games. I believe Cuddlebear and Future probably play a decent number of practice games, and they probably know a lot about each other's playstyles because of it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know, because that is always a question. But I think I wouldn't expect them to play a lot of games on ladder with each other anyways, if it wasn't, they were also on a team.
Yeah.
But I was just checking, because I thought maybe these guys had played before, but I was thinking of someone else. But I did see that Future defeated Masa on TvT, which is pretty good cred in the TvT world.
Future, again, like I was talking with Jeff about this, he's a very spiky player. He can have some really good results, and I think one of his biggest problems is that he tends to play to the level of his opponent, which I think is actually something similar to what Scarlet does, because Scarlet will also play to the level of her opponent, where sometimes you'll see her lose to players that you're like, why did she lose to them? And then you'll see her beat really good players. Like, the two don't add up, but we contextualize that they play closer to whoever the level of the opponent that they're playing is. Makes more sense.
I'm kind of following your logic.
Okay.
But I'm glad we already discussed this previously, because I actually know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
They're both going to go for factory expands here. They both have some odd number of SCVs in the gases, which are usually becoming like it's not new at this point, but I guess in the context of 8 years of StarCraft, is kind of new, I guess.
So, by the way, to clarify this for some people who may not know this, the reason why you'd get even 2 gas geysers if you have only 3 mining gas is that the third SCV, the third worker mining gas, actually doesn't mine it as efficiently as the first 2. So having a second gas geyser, you get slightly higher gas income.
Look, Fear Dragon, I just blindly follow these pro gamers. I don't need your logic.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. No, but it makes it a very safe expand. So you're safer against any proxies that might happen, and proxies happen a lot in TvT because they almost always have a way to macro out of it, as well as just you can provide like a little bit of pressure, and you can definitely have like your diverse option of builds post factory and expand anyways. So for instance, we have Future going for Cyclones, Reactor Cyclones, and he might, like, this is the type of style, this is the unit that you sometimes get those surprise bops. The other guy just isn't prepared for them.
Yeah, here's the thing. I saw Future actually doing this. I believe it. I'm pretty sure I saw Future doing this at Cheesadelphia, which is a North American LAN event that happened not too long ago. And I think it didn't go quite as well as he wanted it to. He's like this player that I think really likes going for the Cyclone play. He really likes going for this Reactor Cyclone play a lot of the time. And I feel like it's worked against him fairly often, and especially if his teammate knows his playstyle. But we are going to actually see a transition out into at least a couple of Hellions.
Maybe mech. We'll see how many aliens he gets. But the Cyclones, like, you don't. Okay, good scout.
Okay, well, one Hellion and 2 Reapers could actually make this engagement work pretty well.
That's going to be quite a few SCV losses. The other side, there is a bunker ready to go, and that was the big test. Like, if you don't build a bunker against 3 Cyclones,
ignore the bunker.
You definitely lose.
Just go in.
He does ignore the bunker, but what's funny is that Cyclones sometimes don't look that great against an SCV surround, so if there's anything supporting the SCVs, so in this case like 2 Marines, it doesn't actually look as scary as you would think.
Yeah.
So, you know, for instance, right here we had 3 SCVs to 3 SCVs with like vastly different types of units entering each other's mains.
Yeah, and I guess to your point, losing 3 Cyclones to get that damage done versus losing 2 Reapers and a Hellion,
Yeah.
it is much better for the Reaper Hellion player rather than the Cyclones.
Look at the resources lost, and it's perfectly even. Isn't that
Is it though?
well?
Is it though?
Well, look, press L.
Ah, okay. If you add them up, that's.
Yeah, excuse you, good
Okay.
sir. Not like I tried to do math on my
Yeah,
own.
but,
I just hit the no button.
I don't know. I don't know, Zombie Grub. Minerals not quite the same value as gas though.
No.
Okay. Sorry. I'm in a very weird conversational place after casting with Jeff.
I feel like you got the better of Jeff a couple times in that last series, so you're just like really like confident and full of yourself. I really need to like bring you down a couple notches.
That's actually, see, the thing is, Jeff doesn't know me well enough, so I can still catch him off guard. With you, you're just like,
I know you
all
pretty
right,
well.
yeah. At this point, you're like, wow, you know, I'm actually just not gonna put up with anything you do. I'm like, oh.
The best thing you
okay.
can do to a fear dragon is just ignore him.
Yeah.
Just don't even acknowledge they made a joke. But the scan goes down both parties scanning. You do want to see if they're going to go barracks or mech, but also who gets the faster 3rd CC.
Future hasn't thrown down his additional barracks or anything else, though. Is this? I mean, did he see the army?
Yeah, he did see the army.
Okay.
So he barely saw the 3rd CC, which is why I was
yeah.
that's why he doesn't have extra production. And that is important because that was almost out of the scan. You know, that was almost hidden. It could be a little scary because what if they have 2 barracks somewhere else, right? It's a big difference. But it's not going to be barracks, it's going to be factory. So he continued using the reactor on the factory, which is already a bit of a hint anyways. So even though Cuddlebear didn't see the extra production abilities, he might be leaning like, okay, I got to be prepared to deal with a mech player. But as it is, anyways, you kind of start off the same TvT-wise against Bio or Mech. You might add on the Marauder, yeah, with a Tech Lab, and you're going to add on 2 Tech Labs more when you do confirm that it's Mech. But this is actually a 5 Rex with no 3rd CC. Yeah. Yeah.
All
so
right.
I'm going to be piling on that pressure. Big test of the Mech player. Can they survive that first, 10 minutes before they really have a lot of stack defense to depend on?
Already getting the reactor Vikings out, so he's going to be in a very good spot to snipe off medevacs that not only try and go for drop harassment, but even just ones that pressure in at the front. If you can shut down the number of medevacs that a bio player can go for, it really does make it a lot harder for them to ever consistently engage and continue to pressure.
I really like watching NA TvT, by the way. I feel like it gets scrappy, but not in the weird PvT that we saw last series way, but in like a good, fun, like, okay, they're both just playing to each other's skill level way. And we should be seeing that. I mean, you have someone who really needs to do a lot with the aggression and has the mobile army going bio, and then you have Future going for that mech who just needs to be a shield right now. He just needs to defend, and that can be difficult when you're on limited number of units. The Cyclones, actually, they really have to be careful not to sacrifice themselves. Like, they can scout, they're okay at that, but they cannot actually die.
Oh, finds the
nice.
Raven!
Nice, very
That's
nice.
a huge pick off. Those interference matrix and even just the anti-armor missile are huge in these TvT trades.
The Cyclones are no longer part of the fight, but him having his own 2 Ravens.
I mean, the Cyclones are buying time, and there's an anti-armor missile on the Marines. They're all so softened up at this point. If they, he interference matrixes some of the siege tanks, but it takes him a while to actually engage here. He's losing a lot of the Cyclones. It feels like Future's army is a bit disjointed, but I think he's still gonna come out okay from it.
Yeah, if those were more Marauders or if Combat Shields was done, then I think he might have been overextending, but he did take out the majority of the Marines and whatever Marauders were there. And then I was taking out the medevacs as well, because they take care of them. So at the end of the day, Cuddlebear saves his tanks, and that's great, because you're like, well, he's a bio player, he's gonna remake his bio, no problem. Never forget that he's still on 2 bases. And actually, Future, is that already a 4 CC? I guess he's banking so many minerals as gases.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, 4th CC before he's established a 3rd, but 4 medevacs on their way out, but there's only 2 out right now, so Cuddlebear is going to be a little hard-pressed with any of those stims that he goes for in this next trade. And remember, those Vikings, they don't really have any other targets to focus on, so they are just going to be going straight after those medevacs, trying to prevent additional healing from those stims.
So Future did scan Cuddlebear's 3rd, but it was so close to seeing the SCV there, it didn't quite. So this still seems like very, very committed. Okay, now the Hellion's going to see it.
Hellion.
That is nice. I think there is the assumption that a Terran will like eventually get a third. Very rarely do you see like a full 2-base. Okay, I didn't do damage. Let me just cut my losses and leave the game. We always try and get that third base. We try and depend on mules. But it's still nice because this means that he's going to know the more appropriate timing to try and move out and take this third. Like he needs to do this. He has to be very careful about it. And luckily for him, Cuddlebear's not finding the weakness. Well, maybe spoke too soon. Tanks need a siege. Take the siege.
Okay, they're going to try and siege up in a decent spot. And hey, Future going to be losing a majority of his army over here. He's got some siege tanks to the high ground, but even the siege tanks getting rallied forward are getting taken out. And now, well, the Liberator, where are the Liberators? I saw the Liberators.
They're in the Vikings. Wait, you talking about Future's Liberators?
Oh yeah, sorry, they are
right
here.
there. I was like, well, there's like big
they're underneath
circles.
the Vikings, yeah. I was going to say, you can try and siege them up closer to the siege tanks, but I guess it's a little vulnerable there.
Yeah. So I feel like Future, he needed to be a little bit quicker about those tanks. I mean, he might have still gotten broken, but I think it would have been a better trade if his tanks had been sieged like faster and a little bit farther back too, because he had the tanks on the high ground to cover them. But while it might be a little bit of a setback, I think he's allowed one setback like this. If he gets a second setback, then I think he actually has just lost too much momentum in this game. Oh, Cuddlebear. Ooh. 3 medevacs. He knows the Vikings are still out, but they're probably preoccupied protecting the tanks, not guarding the main.
Oh man, but the Vikings are actually moving along this right-hand side. They're actually so close to those medevacs.
Okay, there are some missile turrets though, but only 2. Okay, 1 pretty full medevac does go down, but that's still 2 fully unloaded ones. And at the front, Cuddlebear moving in with the tanks are a little bit sparse.
He's not actually getting in range to actually do any damage to the economy just yet, but he's going to be well situated to do it later. Anti-armor missile went down on the remaining bio units inside that main base. Vikings actually going to be landing, but it's versus Marauders, so he's going to be taking a few losses here. Still managed to clean up pretty evenly. Another medevac, unloading on top of the siege tanks over by the third, though.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, that was the Vikings. The job was supposed to let them. You're not supposed to be able to do that when they have Vikings, but they were too busy cleaning up the main base. Now that will be taken out, but Future is losing a lot of these fights. He's also losing the SUVs. While he has 4 orbitals, I do believe he can remake those. Oh, okay, never mind. He has 3 orbitals. He has 3 bases.
He has 3 orbitals now. Luckily, he still has that 4th orbital he had made from earlier.
Yeah.
But man, even just moving his units between these what was his old third base was costing him so many units because of these siege tanks here from Cuddlebear. Cuddlebear actually backs up a little bit, but he doesn't actually have the bio reinforcements here just yet. Future is kind of cutting that off, and I'm a little okay. He's just going to retreat the siege tanks along the left-hand side.
This right side might be the kicker. He's going to take out the tanks. One is siege on the back side. There's no medevac coverage either, so okay, he's always technically not winning the game. But Future is really struggling. Yeah, okay, he's going to tap out. GG. Cuddlebear takes number 1 with some pretty good bio play.
Yeah, really, really solid play. Cuddlebear, I think, again, I think I was talking to you and Jeff about this earlier, but Cuddlebear is one of those players who I think you face him versus Scarlet or something, you're like, okay, this is a pretty hard match for Cuddlebear.
Yeah.
You face him versus Puck even, I think, that's like a pretty difficult match for Cuddlebear. But I think you face him versus Future, and I actually think because there's a little bit of that teammate dynamic going on, there's a little bit of that TvT stuff going on, and I think the fact that Future is also a little bit more of a spiky player, I actually definitely see a world where Cuddlebear can take this series.
No, I agree. I think either one of these guys will advance on, but I think we had to compare
I also
them.
think either one of these guys will advance on.
Well, yeah.
One of them.
Well, one of them will, but can both of them? Can both of them? I don't know. But no, like we saw him first up against Scarlet, and that's just a really tall order. We saw that yesterday with Antis and Neeb, where it was like, that was the first thing we saw of the guy.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then the next games, he really proved that he did deserve to advance on. Might be ditto for Cuddlebear, but that would be a bit of a shock because it's like Future is the one that everyone's always paying attention to.
Yeah, I still would pin the favorites for this group are still most likely the number 1 and number 2 seeds, Scarlet and Puck, but there's still the potential for an upset there with, I think, both Future and, I think Cuddlebear is a lot less likely, but a lot of people are still pinning their hopes on Future, so we'll have to wait and see. Acid Plant is going to be the next map, it looks like, for Game 2.
Yeah. So Future tried mech as well, and I don't believe he's like particularly mech inclined. Like to think of enough Terran players that are mostly mech, that's hard. That's hard. Like every Terran player knows they can throw it out in a TvT.
Beast Cutie. Yeah.
I guess, and then they turn to Ardos, the permanent mech style. So yeah, that's basically it, right? So I don't know if mech was the problem. I don't think it was. He just got maybe a little bit too, like, the momentum kind of was like a little bit too much in Cuddlebear's favor, and that happens when you go for mech. But he can definitely, there's so many different openers in TvT, so many different ways you can play it.
Yeah, it got into a pretty kind of weird position though, right? Because we were seeing the situation where Future had 4 command centers, or 4 orbital commands finished up at one point before the 3rd base was actually thrown down for Cuddlebear. Do you feel like he was just getting a little too over-eager on things and also like spreading himself out a little too thin? Like maybe he should have given up the 3rd a bit earlier or something?
I think he should have waited for the 3rd, maybe like 30 seconds longer, and then those tanks, as I was saying, they sieged as they were pounced upon. That's a big problem. Whereas, you know, they're sieged a little bit sooner, it's a little bit more even, so on and so forth.
All right, well, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the blue Terran player setting up 1-0. He is Cuddlebear from Team Rise Esports. 2nd time competing at Challenger.
In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Future.
$2,500 earned by the age of 16 in StarCraft. That's pretty good.
It's weird because, like, pro gamers have to learn, like, much earlier than others because, like, so many of them are young, right? We see a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They have to learn about taxes far younger than I think we do.
Oh, man, I didn't even think
Because it's like, because it's not even, you know, you get your first job at, you know, whatever, McDonald's, something like that, and they take the tax from your wage. You don't have to worry. But these guys are going to be, they have to learn about, like, freelance tax and, like, self-employment tax and...
Actually, if you're under 8, I actually don't know how exactly the taxes work. If you're under 18 and you're earning a significant amount of income from a place that doesn't just take the taxes off, is it just, do your parents pay the tax?
No, you definitely pay the tax.
Because you're still dependent?
No. I'm pretty sure
you actually know a lot more about taxes than I do.
Well, I was not making $2,500 by the time I was 16, so I don't know this specific question, but I really feel like you're paying your own taxes. Like you accept the role of an income earner, and you gotta.
Well, it's a good thing that they play a game about economies, Jessica, because you know
this teaches us all about that. Oh boy.
I mean, haven't you ever heard about the bunker tax? That's why when you salvage it, that's why when you salvage it, you only get 75% back.
I demand a Blizzard's StarCraft 2 lead designer that gives me 20%. No, sorry.
You know,
30% back.
25% tax is really not that bad if you think about it.
Yeah.
All things considered, 25% tax, pretty reasonable.
Yeah. But enough, you know, that's boring science talk.
Is it science?
No, but I tried and failed to mimic that guy from co-op mission. Do you play co-op?
I do play co-op sometimes, but...
That's boring science stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have had just a mirrored game from both these players this time, and they are just going for the expansion, so we're not seeing anything shape up just yet. We're going to see, most likely, the Hellions or Cyclone being made, and now we see it's actually going to be both a Hellion and a Cyclone, in this case, from Future.
Okay. All right. I mean, obviously one is less expensive, so that might be more what he's thinking of. I don't think there's any special combination of one Cyclone, one Hellion that makes magic happen. But where Future, I'm sure he gets a lot of free wins, to be honest, with the reactor opener of Cyclones, because that bunker timing sometimes is a little bit off, or sometimes they're like, well, this time he won't do it, and then they just actually die. But it seems like Cuddlebear, I mean, they're players, as you said, they actually practice together for once for a team, and he should know all of the timings of his opponent. The one complication is that, you know, it's acid plant's a little bit harder to scout sometimes, but that's why you do play it safe. That's why you do get a bunker. Okay,
Reaper for Future is going a very roundabout path to try and get a scouting information, maybe expecting that there is going to be this double Hellion Reaper opening. I wonder if this is just something that Cuddlebear goes for almost every game, in which case Future's kind of saying, yeah, you know what? We're just going to play around it.
What he's doing is like the safest thing you really can do. Because even if they have a faster Cyclone with 2 Reapers, it's only a matter of time before your own Cyclone pops out.
Yeah.
And in this case, he has also gone on the double reactors to go for a 2 Cyclone drop, I was thinking. I don't know if he'll stay on the reactor for his factory.
I don't think a Reaper technically saw the medevac, but he probably can. Do you think he could just assume it from there? You don't see the medevac that's going to be the drop?
You know, actually, I think it's... I mean, maybe. I mean, I personally do like the non-reactored style of the 2 Cyclone medevac drop, but I mean, obviously it can happen with both. So he's gonna go for maybe the front push. Now if he just drags and drops his own Cyclones top of this with the help of 4 Hellions and a Reaper, especially that Reaper's grenade does anything at all, he could just take down the front of Future's army. Or go for the double-pronged attack, which not working out so well.
Yeah, the double-pronged attack is sort of turning into a single-prong attack one at a time.
Yeah, that's awkward.
There, now he finally moves forward. He's gonna actually find a Hellion and a Marine ready to greet him. The Cyclone's really not taking that much damage though, although he's also taking a bit of time to try and move in, and now he's gonna start finding Marine, a couple of these units, but he can get out of there with a medevac if he's quick about it. Okay.
He's in the natural.
Yep.
He bypassed the bunker. There's only 1 Cyclone, which his DPS is decent, but it was up against 4 units, now down to 1 unit. It's gonna be easy enough, but 8 SCVs, not too shabby. He manages to save 1 Cyclone and 1 medevac.
Yeah, looks like he's actually only what, 2 workers ahead, so I don't know if he's a little slower on some of that worker production, but relatively even still in terms of those economies.
Yeah, that could have been much worse in many ways, but a little bit of mistiming, and then combined with Future just I think prepared mentally for something like that to happen means that the game still goes on really pretty even. It is going to be bio versus bio, so no mech shenanigans. I think that can be done on any map, but maybe a little deterred because of how last game went, or he just doesn't like it on an acid plant.
Okay. Well, as we have, again, like you said, those additional barracks coming down, with Cuddlebear being able to keep alive that earlier medevac is also going to be kind of valuable. But hey, we got double medevacs floating on into the main base of Cuddlebear, but his whole army is already here, so I don't know if this is going to be super successful. He does manage to snipe off that Viking, and hey, this medevac micro is actually not going too poorly for... Oh, it wasn't going poorly for Future until that. Oh, he was so close to actually making it out of there very well.
I was about to critique Cuddlebear not focus firing down the 1 weak medevac, but then it ended up, I don't know if that was the long con that worked out well, but it ended up doing so, so more power to you.
Just softening up everything so he could kill it all in the last second.
Yeah, sure. But it worked out really well. That was a mistake from Future. He does have the faster upgrades. You don't have anyone with double engineering rate quite yet. Faster third for Future as well, so grand scheme of things, just kind of sucks to lose 2 medevacs like that. Not too bad. Down 7 workers now, though.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit annoying, but okay. With the faster third, I guess it kind of makes up for it a little bit.
It's probably wishing he put that on location. I mean, he was the one that was like really doing like the counter aggression. It was his time to really shine. Like he maybe could have gotten away with that, but oh well.
Yeah. Well, I like the Cuddlebear immediately remade one of those Vikings, so you can still be somewhat aware of the potential for a big drop harassment or something from Future. Future is a very no fear kind of Terran a lot of the time. And hey, nope. He saw a very small glimpse of it, but I very much doubt that he actually noticed it.
Doesn't look like it. A couple SCVs going down for Cuddlebear, though, as the drop goes unnoticed on his side, just before the missile turret was done. This drop of Cuddlebear only finds a 3rd CC, which would take a long time to tear down. So.
Gets a little bit of chip damage, but yeah, nothing super long term. The medevac does make its way out of there alive and still has 5 of the Marines left over. Can unload those and heal up at some point if he really wants to. Oh, 1 Marine! And a Dream!
Yeah, it was...
Dream is dead.
Almost hype. So the combat shield is a lot faster Future,
I think he's looking for the medevac.
Well, he's not exactly going to find it.
You might actually... This number of Marines, you can maybe kill that Cyclone, right?
If you focus it, yeah.
Whoa, keeps the medevac alive, is going after those Cyclones, is gonna get one of them, almost gets the second one.
Yeah, just give it
Oh, Cyclone almost gets the medevac. Cool straights.
I was talking about the combat shields though, but it's like they're not really pushing out with their army. They did their drops and all of them have been lost so far. So there's no advantage there, which is unfortunate because like 30-second combat shield timing when you actually find your opponent's army is a really big deal. But they're both just trying to secure their 3rd base. Future was faster to completing it. He's faster to putting it down location. Cuddlebear, he needs to get going. He needs to send on over.
I mean, how would you feel about Future maybe finding a time to just move out with his army because he has faster combat shields? Although that window is closing pretty quickly. Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing is that it seems like Future is actually doing a much better job of those upgrades as well because he's been doing double upgrades and Cuddlebear is really just doing 1 at a time.
Right, I think Future is doing the correct thing here. I think for how this game has gone, it's not really been that scrappy. I think you want those double upgrades, and Cuddlebear will definitely be sad when that 2-2 finish and he only has 1-1. But a lot of TvT, of course, goes down to the tanks, which you got enough tanks, maybe the upgrades don't matter so much. They're going to be in good position, too. So.
Okay, well, Acid Plant, this is sort of the most memorable location for the tanks to siege up. On the other side of those rocks, they're trying to find a nice little location here, but Future is very much prepared for it. There's still that one medevac worth of Marines ready to move in from this angle. Same thing to go for Future, though. He's getting ready to move into that third. Not a whole lot of units here in a vulnerable siege tank.
Yeah, grab the tank, for sure.
Well, the medevac grabs the tank.
Good save. I like that Cuddlebear goes for 2 sensor towers, by the way. Maybe...
Whoa! Oh.
Okay, that's gone. That's a goner.
Well, that's the value of the sensor towers. Has nothing to do with that.
No, it really doesn't.
All right. Marines trying to dance and tease and engage at the same time. Then, whoa! Future getting a little ahead of himself with those Marines. Maybe getting caught from too many different locations. Trying to micro on too many locations.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what happened. Awkward, very awkward. But he still has that army supply lead, worker leads. I was saying that I like that Cuddlebear has 2 sensor towers. I think if you're on 3 base saturation, I mean, you might feel like you're turtling or that it's a, I don't know, dishonorable way to play. I don't know, but actually, I think you really want 2 sensor towers. So maybe it'll come to bite Future in the back, but I don't think. Yeah, he's got it to cover with like Marines, so that's.
Oh boy. Okay, well that's a lot of Marines loaded up in those medevacs, and you might need those for this push over here, but Future is on the verge of getting 2-2 upgrades, and he's going to be up against just 1-1. So that is going to be, and it's going to be a very large window, a solid 2 minutes almost maybe, that he's going to have that 2 upgrade advantage.
He should always win the fights, but you can't underestimate a concave or, again, the tanks.
Yeah.
Future has a lot of tanks, and he could go for this drop. Granted that he only defends his 3rd base, but he's trying to get a 4th as well, and that's where things are a little scary. The Census Tower is there, though, to scout that as well. And does Cuddlebear realize those drops have gone? They've went. Like, he has reinforcements at his 3rd, but not necessarily in his natural.
Okay, well, he's still teasing at one of these engagements. The siege tanks are unsieging. It looks like he's going to be backing off, but like you said, there's not really a whole lot of units here. There's some reinforcements. Siege tank fire is going to add in a lot, though, over here for the defense. And another siege tank sieging up. The Marines busy.
If it works with the tanks, then Cuddlebear does lose that
missile turrets
as well. But luckily for Cuddlebear, he built his 4th next to his natural, so that survives, and he will be able to take care of this as he entirely retreated off the side of Future's base, and that's him grabbing all those medevacs.
How is Future still up 20 supply in army?
His macro, I think, is just straight up better.
Yeah. Actually, that is a fair point. You look at the resources for Cuddlebear, they are starting to build up a good bit. They
definitely are. And just, I think throughout the game, you can see the upgrades and just, yeah, how he's managed to keep his head above water despite some questionable engagements. But this one, a little bit questionable too. His upgrades should be kicking in, even though it's only 1 upgrade lead. And then the tanks kicked in, well, for both sides.
Oh, wow. Liberators are able to take care of all the remaining Marines. So now the siege tanks start going down. Vikings actually cleaning up one of the weakened medevacs, and Future takes the better end of that trade.
Yeah, I mean, it was awkward kind of on both, where like they had Marines running into tanks when they shouldn't have, but clearly going into favor of Future, who now also has that air control. So we can really talk about as we're watching the armies go this way and that, but that is huge. Once Future is in a position with his tanks siege, he is the one that can slowly advance, where Cuddlebear needs to get that Viking count back up to tackle that.
Yeah, those Liberators really add so much firepower to Future's army and his ability to push forward, like you were saying. But, all right. Oh, wow. Vikings actually started dying to the Liberators. But Future having a bit of trouble, I guess, making his way forward. There's the Liberator siege up. The Marines actually getting in on top of both of them. He's going to be able to snipe off one of them. The other one does not get picked off, and that's going to force him to unsiege with all of them, allowing Future to unsiege with some of his tanks, I imagine. Start moving forward.
Future is getting a better end of things here. I think Cuddlebear has like a drop, but it's up against a planetary, so that's not going to do very much.
Yeah.
That's not even a drop. It's a lone group of units. Future is looking quite good in this 2nd game. He's advancing upon Cuddlebear's planetary, dropping on top of the tanks. Very nicely done. Almost grabs that one.
Almost. Yeah, well, I mean, he's in range of the planetary fortress, so it's not even about the units anymore. It's more just about, I guess, the ability to continue to whittle away at that planetary fortress. He's going to eventually be forcing a repair, but Cuddlebear a little bit focused somewhere else or something? I don't know, maybe, okay, there it is.
Yeah, I was a little
scared for a moment.
Yeah, the scan hadn't disappeared, I think he got it.
Oh, I guess he can just, shut down the high ground vision. That's one way to handle it. for a bit.
Yeah, Future, did he stop producing Vikings? He did. So
Yeah.
he's lost that Viking control, even though he has 2 Liberators. Oh, they are.
Ooh, the Vikings are actually getting some really good damage on like the medevac count also, so Future is having a hard time pushing a little bit further forward, and he does have another drop going in behind that 3rd base location. He's actually getting a decent number of these Marines now.
That is 4 SCs, 5 SCVs. It's not bad. Okay, that was, that was a miss micro, but seems like he was going to lose it anyways.
Yeah.
Future is adding on the, he's finishing up another command center. He's got more starports on the way as TvT has really gone to that next level where it's not just the extremely long 45-minute TvTs that get to like, you know, multiple starports and battle cruisers. No, it's the next stage once you both solidified on 4 bases with sensor towers. Okay, I'm clearly not going to get a Doom drop-in type of stage. Then they go into the starports, and whoever was going to win that usually wins the game, but it's this weird tug of war where like maybe one person has the situational advantage, tanks and liberators, the other person has a large number of Marines, so they're mobile and they can move around.
That's kind of funny though, because Cuddlebear now finishing up that +3 weapons upgrade, and Future didn't invest in the armor upgrade, so they are tied up on those Marine upgrades now. And on top of that, you take a look, Future does have a new base that's coming up, but actually funny enough, that other orbital, or the other command center he made, didn't actually end up going anywhere to start taking another base or start mining. So I don't know, I'm starting to see some life from Cuddlebear.
Yeah, I mean, he held on, and those upgrades, they maybe should not have been evened up because he had the upgrade advantage, he had the opportunity to get the +3. Oh well. We should also start seeing maybe plating or ship weapons on the way too, but now we get a little bit of a scuffle of Marines.
Marines. Okay, they see that in siege tanks for a moment, but then they realize all the Marines are there too.
Oh, okay, he does have 10 tanks. I was like, why is there 1 tank with that army? Is he missing some? And no, they're both still producing. They're both almost maxed out though, so it really is just like finding each other out of position.
Yeah, just continuously testing the waters, because even upgrades, and when we get to that point where they're both maxed out, although, man, the army supply for Future is still like a good bit higher. Yeah, it's going to be closed a little bit as Cuddlebear finishes up that remaining 12 supply. I don't know why he has 3 supply depots on the way when he's already maxed out, but...
no, that just made him max out.
Maybe. Okay.
Well,
I'll take your word for it.
Well, you know, your point about the army supply though,
Yeah.
he's on 87 workers, which I think is too much. I think you only get that many when you're TUI and a TVZ. It's 40 minutes. I think maybe lose 10, 15 of that, because that could be a big deal. Either that's a direct fight, or it's like 20 extra Marines that aren't trying to harass and you know, go this way and that, which this group of Marines did not go so well. They all died.
Yeah, both these players are going to be on a very low medevac count, although it looks like Cuddlebear is replacing that supply he just lost with more medevacs, 4 more on the way.
I'm surprised Future got high-sec auto-tracking first, not building armor. But that's not too important.
Yeah.
He should get building armor too, though. As he is the, I mean, he's the only person here that's remembered to get +3 armor.
Oh yeah, starting that up. Going to be helpful in those Marine versus Marine fights.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, if you're going to lose 1 upgrade, you'd rather lose the armor, I guess, as a Terran player, but you're still, like, talking, like, pretty important upgrades, and it's high DPS Marine versus Marine battles.
I also like that he's getting the Viking upgrades and whatnot with the armor upgrades, so that's going to be helpful in these Viking wars, as well as even just the Liberators getting involved in any of those fights.
We should see maybe 1 or 2 Ravens also made at some point.
That is an aggressive base.
Yeah, it is, but he's I like how Future's playing this a little bit better. He seems like he's more confident at this stage. Well, it has to do with Cuddlebear being on the back foot, so like I think he might also be confident in TvT, but he's been on the back foot. He's the one that's just been trying to break out and find those opportunities and has been slapped in the face for it. So Future seems like he's like doing better here.
Vikings starting to do a little bit of a skirmish, but the Viking count is going to be going to Future. Does have a few more of those, as well as, of course, a handful more of those Liberators. He's going to be moving forward. Liberators not really feeling comfortable sieging up. He's actually going to have them focus fire down, and Future wins that Viking fight very handily.
Yeah, he does have that upgrade on his side. Things are all looking up for Future, unless Cuddlebear can, well, he might be able to get his Viking control back. That is possible, especially if we do see a Raven added on. The anti-armor missile can be really big.
Oh man, Future is just out for blood with those Vikings. There's not too many Marines over here, but still might be able to snipe off 2, 3 Vikings. 2 Vikings.
This is that weird part of TvT too, where like, I think Cuddlebear has had 3 times tank production, so he can just this is a time where if you have a decent number of Vikings, maybe you plant some missile turrets down, you can be very aggressive with your Marines because you're also starting to bank a bit. Although his 5th base was just taken out, so maybe not so much for Cuddlebear anymore. But you have these very powerful positional units, and your Marines can go chasing around this way or that, but he really hasn't tried doing that since the last left side Marine attack that went so poorly. So he's just been, I mean, he's forced to just cower back on his 4 bases, and he's now realizing, like, wow, Future's really out-expanding.
It's really not even 4 bases anymore at this point. He needs a 5th base because his 4th base, I mean, this is 4 mineral patches left over. This has a few more because it was actually denied for a bit of time, but even that is actually probably going to come under some sort of threat once again as Future moves to the north side.
Well, here's we finally see a difference, right? Like, he hasn't won when he sends Marines out to try and catch Future off guard. He hasn't won the literal Viking War as they take down the command center. But he might be able to win the Viking War with the Ravens included. And then on top of that, you add a couple of anti-air missiles on top of Marines, interference switches on tanks. Like, Ravens are very powerful, and I'm surprised that this hadn't happened faster, and Future's not even trying to go for them.
Yeah, we might see him trying to end the game before that. The Viking War is still going to go in favor of Future.
Cuddlebear. I don't know why he took a fight there. He should just left, waited.
Yeah, because if you have that anti-armor missile, just adding in a little bit of extra DPS with a just a tiny bit earlier. And he does actually have the Ravens. He's just waiting for the energy. Ravens not actually getting the anti-armor missiles out, though. It looks like he doesn't want to lose them or something.
Well, he really... I mean, you don't want to give up this base because it is one of the stronger mining bases he has, but he has lost Viking War. Maybe you should have just pulled back immediately, because now he'd definitely be winning, I think, as Future has just gone into Liberator production, assuming that he's won kind of the Viking War.
Yeah.
They also can help out when you're clumped up like this. Like, Liberator Splash was nerfed, but it can be okay.
There you go, anti-armor missile going to be helping out a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be enough, though, and even the Ravens are actually coming very far forward, so he ends up losing one. 2 of these... He splits out 2 Vikings that are anti-armor missiled. A lot of these siege tanks are going to actually be going down to a handful of Marines.
Yeah, and this can sometimes happen. Saying those Marines are better at running around these bases. Yeah. But Future, that's not planetary. Okay, maybe? No, there's reinforcements.
There's a lot of Liberators. dodge the siege ups. No, there's still Marines.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Cuddlebear, he's still the only one going for Ravens. He managed to save them so far, too, so he's going to go up to 5.
Yeah. There's 1 medevac on the map.
For both players.
Yeah, both of these players have 1 medevac.
That's kind of funny.
These Liberators are not exactly getting what I would call cost-efficient trades.
No, they're not. I mentioned how he stopped making Vikings, and I did mean to kind of criticize that, as clearly Cuddlebear was still making Vikings and still going for Ravens, and plus I really thought Future was also going to go for Ravens. I mean, some people are really averse to going for Ravens for one reason or another. Sometimes they don't look that strong. They're kind of hard to use. Maybe you've got nothing but reactors, which I think is the case for Future, but I do think Ravens are an important part of the super, super late game, and Cuddlebear, I think rightfully so, has taken the supply lead, even though it's only because Future hasn't really used his bank yet.
Oh, 1 health medevac. There's going to be 4 Vikings rallied over to that medevac now. So it's not going to be long for this world. But man, as much as Future just has better mining, Cuddlebear's been able to establish that left-hand base. He's been able to at least get a couple of those mules and stuff called down on that top center base. And he's, honestly, it's the gas icon I feel like is really helping out Cuddlebear a lot more, because that's what Future's been gas-starved to try and replenish that army. Now he finally has some gas, but he's losing a command center in the center.
Oh, this would be a really, really terrible game to lose. I mean, not only is Future already down 1 game, but he also had the control of it for 15, 20 minutes.
Look on the bright side, Zombie Grub. If Future loses this game, he's already had a challenger, so he can't tilt in the next series because there won't be one.
That's not a bright side.
Oh, those Vikings get obliterated. Zombie Grub,
So that was kind of awkward though, right? Because Cuddlebear also lost some expensive units and 14 SCVs, so. But he actually needed to lose.
I feel like, but you look at the army composition right now for these 2 players.
Yeah.
Cuddlebear has a couple of Ravens, he's got 40 Marines, he's got 7 siege tanks, he's got 15 Vikings. Future is 58 Marines and 7 tanks.
It's not as good. It's not as
Yeah.
I really like how Cuddlebear has played the Supreme late game more than Future, but he can still turn on a time. Like this is a good break. He had medevacs be a really good break.
Oh, oh my god, that anti-armor missile actually just
Oh,
killed like
there.
7-8 Marines.
Actually, you know what? I think Future is now decisively doing this. It's not just like,
think so?
oh, I don't have gas, because he has some gas. I think he decided to go back into just Marine tank and is looking to control the map again, because this is where he
Oh, no,
got his
Future.
advantage.
Future doesn't notice the gold base.
Yeah, so much for taking.
Oh, okay, anti-armor missile adding in basically +3 damage per Marine attack. Does he notice it now? I mean, now he knows. Now he sees it. But there's a planetary fortress here now. It finished.
Well, luckily tanks would take care of that, but
It might take a little bit.
it will. It'll take a little while. That was a really bold base for Cuddlebear to take.
It was a very bold base, but I'm not entirely convinced that he can't defend it. Okay, well now he can't. Now with that Siege Tank firepower. Okay. Well, you say that when the Siege Planter Fortress is dying. It's a little cheating.
Yeah, it was. He's going to lose some Vikings, but as you can see, it's no longer about the Viking war. It's really funny, but Future, he did find success with this composition in the mid-game and is trying to do so again here, and he kind of has.
Yeah.
He also, I think he saw that base to the left side, so he can grab that before he leaves.
Yeah, definitely was in the scan range for a little bit. Future, though, okay, he's moving forward. He stims up half the army because the other half is already dead.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to snag that now. Wow, he's going to try and save it. Cuddlebear. Unless the Marines are also dead.
He's going to go to the command center, as long as he immediately repairs. But a huge drop over to the right side. He did scan that and saw that it was just an orbital. Nicely done. I mean, there was trying to be an attempt at a counter repair, but that's not going to work.
Yep, those siege tanks are all going to start going down very, very quickly. Vikings are going to be able to start snagging some of the medevacs. No, the Vikings are actually, or the medevacs are actually protected by the Marines.
This game, Fear Dragon, this is TvT, man.
Cuddlebear
had the better late game, and now he has been broken.
Don't call it too early. It's
Oh, I'm calling it.
Okay.
Look at that.
I really thought those Marines are actually going to be able to take out those siege tanks with some splits.
No, now all Cuddlebear is depending on is his air war, which is no longer the name of the game. And what's really frustrating about this, okay, repair, is that if he had just kept producing tanks as well and had been able to situate them like better with maybe more Centaurs as well, I don't think he's lost that lead he had. But they've both at this point kind of thrown leads to each other, and I guess it's finally settled on Future having the best.
This is the kind of the weird part though that I do want to bring up. Yes, there's that top right-hand base, but I actually don't know that Future has the best mining either anymore. So okay, he is going to be relying on this big army, and he is actually making it work. So I think this is going to be enough with the Liberators all going down. Yeah, this army is a lot of medevacs as well, but I think it's going to be enough.
He's making better units at this point, which is so funny. Like, the Marines are cheaper and they're better because there's not many tanks with Cuddlebear anymore, and Vikings and Ravens can only do so much supportive units. And I think Cuddlebear's lost.
All right. Tied up series 1-1. Future puts one on the board, showing some signs of more than just signs of life in that last game.
Yeah, but it was weird. It was like, the heart monitor was like, here it goes again. Like, I mean, that was
defibrillated alive. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was TvT though, and it was curious to watch that. It was a gambit, right? He went back into Marine tank, and that could have been the wrong thing to do if Cuddlebear just had more, as I said, center towers and tank kind of more protected. Then he could have looked silly. It just would have been like, ramming a head against the wall. But it worked out really well, so kudos to him for making that decision.
Yeah, well done. Bit of a scary and crazy, hectic game, but Future does eventually reclaim the lead and take it in the end. But now we go on to game number 3. It's going to be on Dreamcatcher for TvT. And remember that all these games have opened up also with a little bit of weird early aggression with the Cyclones, the Hellions, and everything. So
yeah.
These, especially Future, not afraid to go for some weird proxies and stuff.
So the beginning of this game kind of ended up looking like the rest of the game, where they both threw each other's medevacs into each other, and I mean, yeah. But that's why I like watching these guys play TvT. It is fun, and they really take advantage of the comeback mechanic that is just tanks and Marines running around. Dreamcatcher is going to be a really interesting map too, as I personally feel uncomfortable on this map. I can't say anything is good or bad. Obviously, there's great tank spots. There's that really huge main that sometimes you can get some silly things in there, but I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I can't quite see everything that's going on.
If there's one thing I've learned about StarCraft is that whenever players feel uncomfortable about a map, it usually tends to lead to more entertaining games. I feel like,
yeah.
As long as both players feel uncomfortable. If one player feels uncomfortable, the other one's like, all right, yeah, this is a great map, then usually it's like, okay, this may not go so well.
Well, I can't say that these guys are both uncomfortable. They might have
Yeah.
these exact detailed plans to get their tanks at the other person's third base, and that does work on this map too. So we'll see what they have in store as we spawn into Dreamcatcher for game number 3. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, bringing it back to 1-1, he is Future.
And spawning up here on the top left, we have our blue Terran player, also from Rise Esports. He is Cuddlebear.
You know, I was talking about that last game towards the end, how if Future lost it, it's like a gut wrench, because he did have the lead for a while. Well, then reverse it, Cuddlebear had the lead for a while.
Yeah.
He was playing that type of TvT, he was playing better, and then he did let it kind of fall from his grasp. He didn't keep up to date on what Future was trying to do, I feel. He just kept making Vikings kind of like autopiloted.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Hopefully it's not going to be affecting the players too much in this one.
Well, I feel like these pros have done a really good job of just going like, TvT.
Yeah, that's actually fair. I would sometimes be a little bit more worried about like Future, but you know, I think he's been doing actually a lot better and kind of maintaining a positive mindset throughout the actual games and the events and tournaments that he's been playing in. He's learning. Young kid.
Yeah, I think he has, you know, he's got a lot of room to learn and grow. That's a weird SCV scout.
Really concerned about those proxies.
Yeah, I guess so. I just don't see the proxies happen behind
Or
that
he's
wall very
setting up
often.
for the sickest proxy ever that will never be scouted because he's sending his SCV in such a weird pattern. No, I'm just joking.
On his own side of the map.
Yeah, no one would ever expect it. It's like the slight proxy. You okay there? Did you almost trip standing up? Just standing,
I
not
am
even moving?
not standing on two boxes that might have just tilted.
Oh, okay, that's
Not
fair.
happen.
Yeah.
I
For those who
am
don't
tall,
know,
right?
Zombie Grub has 2 boxes, and even Nathanius only gets 1 box.
Well, he must, you know, boogie board. It's like surfer over these wires that they're on. But come on, man! I was about to convince them that I was actually like 5'8" in real life. How tall are you?
I don't know, 5'10", 5'11"?
Okay, I was about to convince them I was as tall as you. All right. Darn.
Wait, why would that convince them that you were as tall as me?
Because I was like, I am this tall. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
using
because we are on
boxes.
camera
Not
sometimes.
using boxes.
I forgot that there were points
Also,
that we were
yes,
on camera.
we're on camera now, close to each other, not far away. So they could be like, "Wow, Zombie Grub's tall." I'm like, nope.
Yeah, we
Perfectly average.
listen to your feedback, guys. We put the casters a little bit closer because you notice people making memes about the awkward tension of how far Nathanius and I were. Thanks, Maynard, for making that.
It did make some awkward tension. It's so weird how space could do that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Speaking of space, these cyclones are going to be creating some space. No.
you know, you really could be able to get away with that like on 16-bit, which is like a platform in space. But Dreamcatcher is clearly not in space.
I didn't mean speaking of space in StarCraft. I meant like
Well, yeah,
units are creating space.
I know where you were going. It was just like it was much worse though. So I think you should have gone.
But this
for, like,
isn't
more
a space platform, so I couldn't have gone for that joke.
Yeah, but it was the only one you could have gone for to make any sense.
Okay.
So.
Rip Reaper. Future. I thought he was going to actually get out of there with that, but fortunately does get picked off. 3 Cyclones out on the map, though, are going to encounter these Reapers. One of them goes down. This is a little bit scary, I think, as you were talking about. Sometimes those Terran players, they don't quite go for that bunker super quick.
I am very surprised that Cuddlebear did not go for the bunker. Last game, he could kind of get away with it because he had a reactor factory of his own. This game, he does not, but he does still have 2 Cyclones, and Future's third is a little bit slow.
Yeah, because he was chasing after that other Reaper, which did make its way out of the other side of the map, and actually think he is doing something.
I'm not sure this is worth doing anymore, because the SCV
Oh,
will help
boy.
out anyways.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice micro. Ooh,
Oh
ooh,
my god.
Ooh, ooh.
You were saying Zombie Grub.
I mean, I don't think it was. I mean, was it so worth it? I guess it's always worth it when you
just
kill
repair
one
it.
unit and you save all 3. Well, okay, repairing all 3 Cyclones, that's got to cost like a full Cyclone, right?
You know, I keep forgetting how much the repair is. It's like 25% the cost of the unit. So maybe you need to repair 4 Cyclones all the way to full to make it not worth it.
Maybe. We have Stim on the way, I guess, for both players. As Cuddlebear is going for barracks. He just isn't out of the tech lab yet. And third base is... Well, third base for Cuddlebear is already finishing, but Future? Not so much for 3 barracks.
All right. I think this is actually the first game that we've seen from them of the 3 now that Future is not going to be the one that goes for the very fast third base. Cuddlebear mixing it up a little bit. And he's actually going to be going for a little bit of a Cyclone Marine drop on the other side of the map. Future, with so many Cyclones, is actually all positioned in the center of the map. So it might be slightly out of position, but I don't imagine he'll be losing too much from this.
Yeah, having this many Cyclones when you end up going for bio is always a little bit awkward. But his Stim is so far ahead that if he can just get some medevacs out.
Okay, well, maybe this actually will get some good damage done.
It's decent. I like the Cyclone drops. They're almost always able to do something.
Gets a little bit of a scout, moves it forward, and sees, okay, you got your multiple barracks there. You don't have to go for any kind of scans to find out any of the information.
Which they both have been very keen on, by the way.
Yeah.
It's always scanning each other. So the Stim, the start part's done now for Future. With Stim, you can actually get combat shields and medevacs on the same time, and that's a scary situation for Cuddlebear. When you go for the third CC and you see their opponent has not, you know there's going to be some time where you're just straight up going to be defensive. You're going to have some decent scouting, maybe with some Marines that are on the map, because you could be dropped on either location, main or natural, and without any presence out on the map, you could even just have tanks suddenly appear at your natural door and be like, oh, I didn't expect this. But they haven't really been that aggressive off those two. Well, actually, Cuddlebear was in the first game because he was up against Mech. But like last game, they weren't that aggressive off the Stim timings or combat shield timings.
Well, we'll have to see when Future actually does decide to get aggressive, because, yeah, he's still no third command center. Even throughout all of that, he has not opted to go for it. He's finally getting out some of those medevacs. He's finally starting up that tank production, but I think it's difficult, right? Because if your opponent doesn't really try to establish that low ground third base, they just kind of sit in on those 2 bases, it's really difficult to actually just move into your opponent's natural or something, or even go for the drop in the main base. It looks like Cuddlebear's prepared on every angle.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Yeah,
now with this.
He can't even really go up to the natural. I mean, he could kind of soft contain, but that's...
Oh, he's going to go for the gold?
Last long. I guess he is.
Or is that just the scouting SCV that never returned home?
Did he have a scouting SCV?
Did he?
We watched Cuddlebear's scouting SCV go every
We did watch Cuddle. Oh my god.
What?
Wow, that timing! The standard 7-minute, 42-second command center at the gold.
That is so surprising. But yeah, as
He's
we
got
talked
the medevacs
about,
there too.
like, they do know each other.
Yeah.
And the third was eventually going to come down for Future, but obviously, like, it's not too common to see it put down to the gold.
Oh my god. Do you send all of the Marines there, or do you just send like 1?
I wish he would just send 1, actually, and just drop the rest.
Or
but
none.
he's not sending any.
He's gonna let it finish, and then he's gonna kill a zombie group.
Well, Future really should have canceled as soon as it was scouted, in my opinion, because it's only 100 minerals.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that far along.
Oh, Cyclone spots out the Marines. Unfortunately, not pulling that Cyclone back in time, but there's a big Stim forward, and it's okay. Most of the units are actually inside the main base, so Future takes a bit of time to react, but he does get there in time.
Seriously, don't let the gold get away. He
scans it again. He's like, "Are you really still?" See, this is why he lets it keep going, because now he'll let it get to 99% and then he cancel it. No, that's actually a terrible idea.
Oh, he could just sent 1 Marine over there. Oh well.
Well, he's sending a handful of them.
Ooh, big supply block for Cuddlebear. Oopsie. 2 medevacs go to the main base as Future scans his Cuddlebear's natural. Now Cuddlebear finally takes care of the gold base, and that should just be a dead command center, right?
Yeah, there's no way that command center will survive. I'm not even going to show it because it's dead.
Why didn't he cancel?
Well, right now I think he's a little preoccupied focusing on the drop that he's actually not able to clean up right now, which is
No, he's not.
more than a little bit of a problem because he was sending a bunch of his SCVs across the map, but he also has this drop over here that's just been loaded. This drop has been loaded up for a while.
No, go back to the drop. Oh, he sees it. He sees it with the army. Oh, GG. Okay, well, Bear doesn't get that third one, but still.
No, that's still GG. Cuddlebear.
Oh, no.
Shuts him down.
What?
There's nothing. No.
What? But I feel like Future, he like pulled back in that second game from that, deficit where it was like, I don't know, man. And he really pulled back. He really showed his grit. And the third game wasn't bad, really, at all.
Yeah.
There was no point where I was like, well, this is just going to be like, it's going to be tough.
I mean, he went for a lot of risky decisions there, right?
The riskiest thing he did was the third CC, which again, I feel if he just immediately canceled once it was scanned.
He also had like 5 full medevacs loaded up, but not just that. He also had those medevacs sitting there for like a solid minute.
So my question is not like, why did he tap out of that game?
Yeah.
We know why he tapped out of the game.
We know why he tapped out.
But it's why it seemed like it just crumbled immediately. There was like up until that last minute of the game, I feel like it was fine. You know, like he scouted there was a faster third than his, but that happens all the time in TvT. And then it just kind of felt like he just, I don't know, he really wanted that gold base sphere. He really, really wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the drop really pulled him out of position, right? The fact that the drop pulled him out of position and the units that were left at home were not enough to deal with it. If he had actually felt comfortable and felt like, okay, this is all enough, and there wasn't also the third base getting taken out, then I think those other 5 medevacs are actually being aggressive during all that because he has enough attention span to focus on that. And then if those medevacs are actually doing something, they're not just sitting over dead airspace and getting sniped off by a Marine. So like, I think all of that is actually just built off of that single drop and also the gold base being taken. Like, I think those are, like, to me, those are the risks.
It just was all of a sudden. It
was very sudden. Everything fell apart in a moment.
Right, exactly. Everything went south at the same time, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it's gonna go. Which, I don't know. I was hoping for a little bit better of an exit. I'm sure Future was as well.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he is the first one out of this group. Well,
and out of Challenger.
There you go. Yeah, out of Challenger.
But, of course, that does set us up for not only our winner match, but also one of the players for our decider match. That next match coming up is going to be Scarlet versus Puck. Following that up, it will be Cuddlebear versus the loser of this upcoming match. This is going to be a fun one. Looking forward to it. And we'll see you guys in a little bit with more WCS Challenger action.